A message of love, February 14, 2015. And so it is that we return with another message to inoculate you further with another dosage of this love fest that is currently sweeping over your globe. For today the swirls of energetic passion that anoints you all come in one flavour only, that of love itself, and as such, take this as another layer of this cake that is being offered you on this festive occasion. For today, the dam of joy has burst and will be spewing forth a never-ending flood of light that will serve to anchor you even deeper into that safe berth you have already found deep within your heart. For this is the anchorage you have been searching for far and wide, never being fully able to perceive that it is already here, under your very nose, within that deep and welcoming silence that awaits you in the very core of your being. For that is your home. That is where your heart has always known it to be, and now, as this powerful surge of light has been unleashed from its old embankments by your willingness to keep searching for that elusive target, your search has now come to completion, for you have found your way into those inner workings of your own being, and as such you have found your home, and this is where you will abide now for eternity. And know that even if you will find yourself at a loss to feel this deep connection to yourself from time to time in the time ahead, fear not. For once this connection has been made, it will never ever let go. For this anchorage is one that will serve you well no matter how hard the winds of change may blow in the time ahead. For you have made it all the way to that safe harbor, and from there, you will continue to expand and explore beyond any of the old limits that you may still perceive. For remember, this anchorage is not a stopping point, it is merely a safe haven from where you can continue to explore the wonder that is mankind in its very new form, the kind that has allowed love to penetrate all the way through all of the dense layers, stripping them off one by one until only this one truth remains: you are love, you are loved and you are loving. And now, you will fly away out onto the new winds, out into the wild blue yonder, carried aloft by this truth. For now there is no longer anything holding you back, and now you can soar as high as your loftiest dreams and beyond, for now, you have managed to put right what was so wrong, you have mended the rift that was so wide between you and the one you are at heart. For now, you are no longer divided, you are one within, and so, you will once again learn to be one without. And so it is, now and forever. A short update on the energies, February 10, 2015. By now, most of you have discerned that the forward momentum has yet again been increased, and this time, it is not by a small increment either. Rather, the surge is such, it is apt to sweep more than a few of you off your feet. And when we say this, it is not to imply that this will be detrimental in any way, simply to say that whether you like it or not, this time you will all be literally swept up in this oncoming surge of light, and it will serve to pry loose many a grasping hand still trying so hard to cling on to yesteryear. You see, this upcoming increase in incoming light will help to sever some of the last straws that so many have been clinging to, the straws that for them symbolize the last link to the known. In other words, the old illusion, the one that feels slightly more comfortable than the seemingly unknown void that looms ahead. And even if this old illusion in more ways than one can be described as a less than beneficial place to inhabit, to some it is still preferable over the choice of stepping away from it to fully enter the new. For the new feels so overwhelmingly new, it is apt to trigger any residual pangs of fear that your system still harbors, and so, you try to test out these new waters by stretching out to your full length to dip the tiniest tip of your toe into it while still holding tenaciously onto the chains that secure you to the old. Well, let us just say that now there will be no more room for these balancing acts of overstretching, for now, you will all find that your grasp on the old illusion will crumble away between your fingers. And if you still choose to try to maintain contact with it and turn your back to where this flood will be taking you, we think you will find your position an extremely untenable one. For then, you will try with all of your might to go against the wishes of your heart, for remember, anyone who has already stepped forward into the light has done so at the behest of their heart, not of anyone or anything else. For in this, you are and will always be sovereign beings. And so all the ones connecting to this very space and reading these words, you are here because you have elected to be amongst the pioneers, the first ones to literally take the plunge, and so, going back against your own decision is not something that is feasible. For all you will succeed in doing, is making your own journey a much more challenging one than what was intended in the first place, for then, it will be like trying to literally go against the flow in a way that will have a profound impact on you, and not in a positive way. Again, these words are not given out to try to intimidate any of you, merely to try to remind you all that you are here of your own volition, and this journey, no matter how intense and at times challenging it may be, is one that you have opted for with everything that you are. And so, you came to this planet to put your soul into this work, and you have done more than admirably so far, so never fall for the temptation to think that you are, or will be a failure in anything that stands before you. For you have come so far and the challenges have already been many, but you have literally grown with each and every one of them just as you knew beforehand that you would do. And remember, that is why you came, to make this whole plan progress come alive in every sense of the word, by embodying this change every step of the way. And now, after what may seem an almost endless traipse through the densest of jungles, you stand before what can only be described as a superconductive journey through a channel of infinite light that will strip away the last shreds of detritus, flushing out your internal channels in such a way, they will be back to near pristine condition. Again, this is a process that will seem to be overly convoluted and perhaps unnecessarily cautious at times, but that is simply because it needs to be so in order for you to be able to fully shine your light in the way it was intended for you to do, while still ensconced within this bodily vehicle. For that is indeed the crux of the matter, the whole idea on which it all hinges. You are doing a transformation on such a vast scale, from one set of existence to one that is so fundamentally different from the old one. It all needs to be done just so in order for everything to come together full circle. And now, what awaits you all is indeed something that will literally shift you a large sector of this circle towards full completion in the sense of becoming that much closer to full capacity. In other words, during the next few days a flow of light will come and that will fill you all to the brim and then some, and it will bring you all along on a journey towards perfection, to use a word that is much maligned, but in this context simply means removal of old impurities, impurities that have made your evolution as a species so inhibited because of the contamination it imposed on you, but which will now be rendered null and void in such a way, very little of the old inhibitors will be remaining, and as a result of this, you will all become cleared and ready for that huge surge of galactic cleansing that will arrive sometime later this month, and in its wake, you will all feel the freshness of imbuing pure light through your newly purified channels. As usual, we refrain from giving out any details, but we will say this: no matter how hard the winds may blow, and no matter how intense the pressure from this light may be, it will be here to help you to fulfill your dream of completing this journey you have come here to do, and to do it in this incarnation. For this is it, this is the lifetime you have been waiting for, the one where it will all come together, and you will come together to secure the ties to the new world by severing all of the detrimental connections that only served to sap you of your powers in the old version of humanity. But now, you stand before a veritable Niagara of floods, a force of light that will at some point sweep you all off your feet, and hurl you over that edge that stands between you and your future. And just like any such attempts to hurl yourself voluntarily off a cliff and into what may seem almost an overwhelmingly challenging feat of trust, know that your heart knows what it has in store as soon as it finally lets go of the fear of flying. For you will not go crashing down, instead, you will feel how the winds finally will be able to fill your wings to such a degree, you will be able to begin to soar freely yet again. So once again we say know that all is well, and know that you will know just what to do and when to let go, and if you insist on holding back, also know that this will not diminish the pressure in any way. Rather, it will only serve to push you that much harder. And if you try to entice others to take this leap of faith with you, and they react by digging in their feet even deeper, know that it is not your task to hold back to help them to find their way over this demarcation line. for your task is simply to allow your wings to become fully unfurled, and the only way to help others to pick up the courage to do the same, is if they can see how freely you are able to soar. For if you insist on hanging on to try to wait for them to be ready, know that your prolonged hesitation will not benefit any of you, least of all you. For then, you will not lead by example as you're here to do, instead you will be holding you all hostage to the drag of the old, and it will be enough to make you and those you are trying to lift up only mire yourselves even deeper into that old mud. So lift your eyes to where it is your heart wants you to go, and that is when this incoming flood of light will have the very best effect on you all. For then, you will already be in the perfect position to take advantage of this powerful push, and you will be able to use it to propel yourself out into the lofty heights in a way that will not only elevate you, but also the collective. For remember, you are all individuals, but you are also part of something much, much bigger, and so, as soon as you allow this wave of light to lift you up and away from the old ideas of solitude and density, you will bring on an increase in the combined effects of this energetic field that in turn will help to elevate you all just that much higher. In other words, your single decision to act will have far-flung consequences, for it will literally ripple out into the ethers and magnify the effect of the single decision to fly that will be taken by countless of your brothers and sisters. And together, you will in a very short time bypass the limit for critical mass, and through that, initiate another huge surge of light that will add on to this chain reaction. And do not worry, dear ones, this is already a fact, for you have already accomplished this, but as usual, it needs to be done on a level of consciousness that is available to the human in you as well in order to be fully integrated into your system, and that is what you stand before now. So do not hesitate when you feel the incoming wave of light coming your way, for you have already taken the plunge, but this time around, you get to do it with those parts of you that still think of themselves as merely a human, and that is when it will all come to pass. And come to pass it will, for no matter how many it is who think they will balk at taking this plunge, they are far, far outnumbered by the legion who have already decided to do so. For that is what has been done, and now, it will finally come fully to pass, and for that we cannot thank you enough. So set your sails for tomorrow, and know that the wind in your back may blow hard, but it will definitely be carrying you towards the destination you have come here to reach. So sit back and let your heart set the course, and then, the wind and you will become an inseparable team, united by the light, united for the new, making headway for that distant shore that will no longer be distant but is already within reach.